Yeah, today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, weight loss, nutrition. These are trending topics that people are always interested in. And there is something that seems to be a bit of an anomaly. So there are people who struggle hard to lose weight and then nothing is happening. But then there are people that they don't need to do anything and then they can easily lose weight or gain weight.
Okay, so the weight man. So, what are you talking about? So there are people who
can lose weight easily.
Can just, take it off easily and, so feel more light on that.
There are so many factors anyways, people normally talk about calories, and so many other things. But today I'd like to introduce something that is, or I think is relatively new to a lot of people. Okay. And that is the case of resistant starch. Yeah, have you ever heard about resistant starch before?
No.
Well, from the name, at least you can gauge that starch that resists digestion. So imagine if you eat food and then the food is not digested, but then it does other things like making you not feel hungry.
Okay, now you're dumping too much. Okay.
All right.
So just take it easy and just take it step by step. Okay?
All right, let me try to break it down.
All right.
We all know normally when we eat starch, it's carbohydrate, it's digested into glucose, right? And then our body uses that to generate the energy that we need to do everything from breathing, from walking, and whatever we need to do. That's where we get our energy from, right?
I get that part.
Now, so starch comes in different forms, sort of crystals and all that. Now, the point is, it's not every form of starch that is digested or absorbed by the body, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the funniest thing now, or the trick here is that there are some starch that because of some conditions that they are subjected into, they become resistant.
Okay.
So that's the trick.
They were not resistant
Previously.
but because of what we do
To them. Become resistant.
Okay. You want to share some of that?
Yeah. So they have the advantages and the disadvantages. The advantage is that you can actually use it for yourself. You understand? Let's say you don't need enough. There's what they call glucose spike in the blood.
Okay.
You are hungry and then your blood sugar is low, right? And then you drink some of these. I don't want to mention any
Should I help you?
You take some soda drink that are really sugary,
Okay.
right? And then you have a spike.
Yeah.
And this is really one of the problems that diabetic patients, normally face, the spikes. So that's one of the advantage of this kind of, starches. So let me just break it down. Resistant starches are starches that don't get digested or absorbed in the small intestines. They get passed down to the large intestines. Now, I'm talking about the conditions that can change some starches from being starches that were already non-resistant, resistant. It's actually a bit funny. Do you know that when you cook a starch like maybe rice, spaghetti, indomie and all that, and then you cool it off, and then cook it again, that you've actually adjusted the structure of the starch content from being non-resistant to being resistant.
Okay.
How does that sound?
It sounds like I have to go home and educate everybody.
Really. When I discovered this, you understand, I was really shocked.
Yeah.
And I had to do some studies, and I discovered that people actually did an experiment on this.
Okay.
They created a control group, right? And then they were able to test.
Okay.
And then, even with scientific testing, resistant starches. Okay, let me just give you a straightforward one. Imagine you cooking your indomie or your noodles, and then you measure the calorie value.
Yeah.
Right? And then cool it off, cook it again, like warm it again.
Yeah.
Normally warm up. And then the calorific value changes.
That's what I'm saying.
So resistant starches have been known to supply about 2.5 calories per gram, while the non-resistant will give you up to 4 calories per gram, about half.
Okay, so hold on. Are you indirectly telling me it's better to eat leftover rice, warm it and stick to that and allow those,
Now the catch here is, which one do you think your body really needs? if you are a bit chubby or you are fat and then you want to lose weight,
Yeah.
you understand, or you are diabetic, right, and then you don't want to have the glucose spike, the blood sugar spike in your blood, then resistant starch may be the way for you. And another advantage there is that you improve the health of your gut. You know,
with the resistant one?
Yes. Anything that is not readily digested in your small intestines become a very good source of food for the microorganisms in your large intestines.
Okay.
And now this cracks the code because the only food that I previously knew was very good for gut health was yogurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know, yogurt is not something a lot of people get into. Right? Yeah. So there are numerous other, health benefits and all that. Some of the foods, around us, apart from the phenomenon of boiling or, heating food and then reheating it again. Some natural foods like potato have resistant starch. Raw banana have resistant starch, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then so we now have different types of resistant starches.
Yeah, that's where I was about going to.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for ladies, I'm pretty sure we want to know more about this resistant.
Type 1 are those ones that don't really have enough. Those are like the raw foods like banana, potato that have resistant starch. And then type 2 are actually those ones that are processed. You understand? Like you have people add resistant starch, to food, like processed food. Yeah. And then there's something else about processed food. And then type 3 is this one where you reheat the food. You understand?
I think I like the reheating part.
They are the most resistant. They contain the most resistant
starch. Works for us ladies. I mean, we have a lot of leftovers every now and then. So I mean, don't throw away your leftovers, guys. So go back to the process.
It can even be a deliberate action.
That's what I'm saying. So that was the leftovers I made. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then comparing that to processed foods.
Yeah.
Right. One of the problems with processed food is that they make sure or they get rid some processed food actually deliberately get rid of resistant starch.
Rid?
Yeah, they get rid of.
I don't know why. Why do they take it out? I mean, it's supposed to help.
It's just a consequence of processing.
Oh.
For instance, one of the type of, I think I missed one type of resistant starch. They're actually those flours that are not fully milled.
Okay.
Right? So normally if you go to the market and then you want to buy a flour and then you see the samples, you see that this one is like, very dusty, which means very properly milled.
Yeah.
And then you now see this one that has lots of big class. Which one would you go for? You would go for the process of like breaking it down destroys that structure. You understand? And you have to remember that the idea or the fact about resistant starch is all about the structure of the starch. So those ones that are like very fine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They've been thoroughly dealt with.
But then those ones that are like quartz, they still have that structure intact.
I mean, I learned a lot.
So yeah.
I'm just excited about the leftover food aspect.
So guys, thank you very much for your time, for watching. We'll be doing this from time to time and coming up with very important facts, especially in the areas of nutrition. Yeah, and before we go, we'd like to give a shout out to Big Wig. You ever heard about Big Wig? Yeah, we're going to drop a link below about Big Wig, so go watch the sneak peek of Big Wig. It's a docu-series for lawyers. And the last thing you should do before you go, make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you leave a comment. I'd like to get to know the first impression that you got when you just learned, especially if it's the first time you get to know about resistant starch. I really like to know your first impression and what you think, right? So thank you very much, and we hope to see you next week. My name is Andre Udotai.
And I'm Mima Kukina.
Alright, bye-bye. Have a nice day.